Hello, I'm back on the battlefield, and today, as promised, we're going to talk about Battlefield 5, and in particular, we're going to be talking about vehicles. Now, there is a handful of vehicles in the game. Obviously, it's an alpha. There's not going to be that many. They're going to be buggy. There's a lot of sort of stuff going around in the background that doesn't make sense, and it looks ugly and makes no sense. But it is an alpha, so let's just get past that and move on to some of these vehicles. Now, there is three different vehicles for the British. You have the Valentine Mark 8, you also have the Churchill Mark 8, and you also have the Churchill gun carrier. Now, the Valentine Mark 8, or the MK8, was actually designed in 1938 by Vickers Armstrong, and it was produced between 1940 and 1944. The Valentine was used by the British Army, the Red Army, and the New Zealand Army. It's seen a little bit of action in Second World War, in 1948 Arab-Israeli War, and also in the Cyprus Crisis between 1955 and 1964. As for the Germans, well, basically they only had a couple of Panzers. They didn't have anything fancy. I was kind of hoping to see the Stoke, the Tiger, the Panther, you know, to see the big boys, to see the monster tanks. I know it's still a possibility that we'll see some of those tanks later down the line, maybe in the beta, maybe in the full game. It gets released in October, I think it gets released. So hopefully we'll see some of those in there, because you've got the Frostbite engine, you've got this graphics, you've got all this going for yourself, and you're not taking the time to make those iconic tanks in the war. I know the Panzers are iconic because the Panzers basically made a huge difference in the first sort of year of the war, the first year and a half of the war, but I still would like to see some of those big beasts make an appearance where you get to control and have a little bit of fun with those kind of big boys, as it were. Now, when it comes to the tanks that were available in the game in the alpha, the Valentine and the gun carrier basically had a no-turning turret. You couldn't turn the turret with it, so I basically used it once, and that was it, just to see if it's any different, if it feels different, if it's sort of playable, as it were. I mean, yeah, you can still play in it, but not really be effective, because if you get yourself into a position where you're defending a flag, or you're sort of inside an objective, you simply can't turn quickly enough with the tank in order for you to deal with the assaults. I mean, they've got the TNTs, the sticks of dynamite, you've got the mines, you've got the support doing damage to you, you've got so many things out there trying to kill you in a tank that you just can't turn your turret, and because you're turning the whole tank, you're just not going to be effective at all, really, so I've not used any of those. Now, they're going for the same thing as they're doing for the troops on the ground, with less ammo. You basically start off with a set amount of ammo, and when that sort of runs out, you'll need to get yourself to one of these positions, and once you get here, you'll start doing the repairing and the reloading. It's all going to be done here. Now, once you take a little bit of damage as a tanker, you will be able to sort of repair your tank once or twice, and then you'll have to go back to one of these sort of stations in order for you to fully repair your tank if you want to go back into the battle. There is one thing that I will say about this map, is that it's not tank friendly at all. There's just simply too many mounds, too many hills, too many ditches around, that you can't be using the tank to its full potential, where you'd have something a bit more flat and you can actually engage other vehicles. There's not really that many vehicles either on the map. There was only another tank, and if you didn't get in, you had to wait. You'd wait like anywhere from sort of 4 minutes, like 8 minutes to get into a tank. It just took forever to get one, and tank battles between sort of myself and the enemy tank were pretty rare. I think I only killed like 2 tanks the whole match, and it lasted like 30 minutes, so it's pretty boring when it comes to that. So they definitely need to sort of increase the spawns a little bit, maybe, or maybe somehow get it to a point where I'm not just killing infantry because it's easy to pick off random infantry at range, but I want to be able to deal with the enemy armor, because that's what's sort of hurting my team. It's the enemy armor, and because we only had the one tank on the ground and the enemy had one tank on the ground, there wasn't really that much sort of a tank warfare, if you want to put it that way. You had to wait for the other guy to respawn back in, see what he is, go in, take a couple of shots at him, and then that was it. And then you sort of save for like 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. You knew that nobody's going to come and try and shoot you down when it comes to a tank. You still have, obviously, the assaults and everybody else that can still damage you, but as for the tanking, I gotta say that was pretty slow and pretty boring, because there simply wasn't enough action between armor versus armor. So it was more get myself into a better position where I can watch a flag or two, wait for the enemy to come that way, take 1 or 2 of them out because I have the range, pull back, resupply again once I fired 6, 7, 10 shots, resupply again, and then go back in and do the same thing. It kind of felt a bit boring and it felt a bit campy. That I fired a couple of shots, I had to go back and resupply and do all that. I just basically felt like I'm always sort of retreating all the time. Another thing that kind of bugged me a little bit was the speed. I mean, this has a 15 mile an hour speed, which is about 24 kilometers an hour, but a soldier with all that gear on him can run as fast as you. If he's running side by side next to you, he can throw sticks of dynamite on you. So we'll have to wait and see what they do with the tanks when it's beta time in about a month's time or so. Hopefully they'll see some love, some tweaks, and then we'll try it again and we'll see what it's like. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I will see you in the next one.